Good afternoon. My name is Ciro Di Rocco, and it's my great pleasure today to introduce the host of the Potter's Cast, Paul Blais, to talk to us today about building a marketing funnel. So please give Paul a warm round of applause. Right there.
Just real quickly, Chiro's a dude to kind of keep your eye on. He is doing some cool things, and I'm glad that I can call him a friend, but it's really exciting to see someone that's kind of up and coming and making a difference in the world. Would you guys mind if I just did a quick selfie with all of us? Would that be cool? Let's, we'll just, here you go. Everybody smile. We'll do it this way. Nice. So if you guys have met me before, if you've seen me before, then you know that there's something different about me. I grew a beard, and I thought that it was time to kindly see what it was like to finally be a man. And so I grew it out, and it's really interesting when you do something different with your life, the responses that people give you. So I went to dinner last week with a friend that I hadn't seen for probably a year or two. And so we went to dinner. My wife and I were over at their house having dinner, and we're sitting around, and the beard comes up as a conversational piece. And then he says this to me. He says, "Yeah, I thought about growing a beard, but I have to look respectable and I have to look good. But it looks good on you." I'm excited about Ensika in Minnesota. I was born here, and I still say Minnesota, like the locals do, because really that's not really a state that gets called out on the West Coast very often. So I still say Minnesota, and I also say the word sorry a little bit more like a Minnesotan, which is another word that's not said very often on the West Coast. So I am excited to be here. I'm really thrilled that, how many of you guys are familiar with the Potter's Cast? Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that the rest of you had no idea. You just like, Potter's what? It is a podcast, and you can listen to it. In fact, I encourage you all to subscribe now. That's what this was all about, was getting more listeners. Well, what we're going to be talking about today is something that I'm pretty excited about. I love the topics of marketing. I enjoy the topic of social media in general. I'm a big fan of social media, and I spend too much time on social media. And so I know that if you've been a listener of the podcast, and for those of you who are not listeners of the Potter's Cast, then I'll just let you know one of the things we talk about is the business of clay. And the tagline is picking up where the art degree ends, in talking about how do we go as artists from art school or being a creative and figuring out this entrepreneurial part of it, or the business part of being an artist. And that's really the challenge, because most degree programs of people that I've interviewed don't typically, various professors don't typically, their programs don't talk about this aspect of being an artist, is that once you pay for the degree, you have to pay for the degree. So, and so this is what the show is for, is to kind of give a highlight or a spotlight on that pathway as best we know how. And it's not just the machinations of Paul Blais, but it's really the guests that have been on the show. And I'm really excited that we have so many guests who've been on the Potter's Cast. It makes the Potter's Cast so special. It's great to see so many of you here today. I'm thankful for you guys. We've had 510 episodes released as of today, with over 2.3. It's going up every day, million downloads, and that just blows me away. And I'm just in awe that somebody who was not pedigreed to be in this position of someone who, I'm not pedigreed in the ceramic world, but what I am pedigreed is that I've got a big mouth. I can talk, and I'm okay with that. So one of the things we talk about is this idea of social media, and we talk about specifically a lot of times Instagram. And with Instagram, people will say, guests that have been on the show, they will talk about how they have been growing their businesses as a result of their work on social media. And so other people will then do, well, as a potter that wants to make a living off of ceramics, the thing you say is, as you listen to the show, you say, well, I kind of should get on there. So you at least open up an account. But then the question is, how do you do it from there? Like, you've got the pieces in place, it's kind of all there, but then the trick is then, how do you get it from being on the platforms and then be able to translate those over to actual sales? And so this is what we're trying to help to do right now. Some of you were looking at that saying, trying to figure out what it was. Is that seals? Is it loud? Sales. So I'm going to talk about three things today, and when we talk about these three things, I want you to know I'm going to be talking fast, so you have to listen fast. And what I'm going to do is try to spend a little bit of time on this first subject, which is the new world that we are living in and the challenges that brings. And I'm going to try to spend minimum, hopefully maximum, 5 minutes on that. But I promise you, this could be at least an hour-long conversation. Second thing we're going to talk about is the SM strategy, and that is social media strategy. We're going to talk about how that works, and then how we can how to understand it, and then lastly we're going to talk about the actual funnel, how we build the funnel. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this new world that we are in, and to be truthful, the new world is not really that much of a new world. It's been around for, well, since '91. The World Wide Web kind of was birthed at that time. That could be argued. There's some people throw out other dates, but let's just say for the sake of argument and because I got the clicker, it was in '91. But one of the things that we wonder is like, but is this a good thing for artists to be in? I am really amazed as an entrepreneur, as a business guy, I'm really amazed how many businesses still don't have a website for themselves. It's about 30% of all businesses small businesses don't have a website. And that shocks me. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. But then when you go into the artist world or into the craftspeople world, that drops radically. In fact, it's such an insignificant number, it becomes untraceable. Like, it's hard to find the actual number, like how many artists actually have their own website. How many people in this room today have a website? Let's just see your hand. Now, how many of you update it and keep it all good and current? Oh, look at that percentage. It has dropped so crazily. Yes. And so that's the reality of it, because here's the gig. It's like it's such an important thing, or not such an important thing, but it's such a big deal to kind of build that website. And so if we're talking about like the artists, you know, if you're selling, you are a business. You're not just an artist, but once you start to sell your work, you are now a business person. And so the one thing that you want to start to ask the question is, or I want to answer a question is like, why is this an important topic or an important thing for us to do is to have the business, okay? And I want to talk about three things. It's because it's where businesses are. It's also, being on the internet is where the people are. And lastly, it's where the money is. So the first thing there is about the business, okay? When you talk about businesses, there's a basic concept that there's this thing called like the anchor store. We all know the groove on this, like with malls. I know malls are kind of starting to fade away. I know we got the Mall of America here, but malls in general are having a hard time surviving. But they have this thing called the anchor store, and the anchor store is the big one that everybody's attracted to and comes to. I'm sorry that I'm using Target as the example, but that's what I'm using. And then a bunch of other little businesses come and they get around that because of the foot traffic. So you go to a place where the businesses are congregating so that you can be a part of that. It's the association. You're being in a place where you can be found. If you want to be able to grow an ice cream shop, which I wanted to start when I was a young man, I wanted to have an ice cream shop with my brother-in-law. And we did all the research, and we discovered that there's three things that make an ice cream shop successful. And you've probably heard this. Three things: location, location, location. That's why it's important to be in the place like the internet, is because having a website, because you're getting in the right location. And so not only is it good to be there because that's where the businesses are, but it's also where the people are. People are on the internet. I'm going to talk about the United States just generally. We have about 326 million people living in the United States, okay? Of those 326 million people, 89% are online. And of that, they're online 24 hours a week. That is a lot of time. So when you start thinking about building a business, it's where the businesses are so people can find you readily. And secondly, it's where the people are. The people that you're trying to sell your work to, they're right there. And the great thing is urban shoppers tend to be a bit more voracious in their buying. I just wanted to show that the best way to get a piece of the pie is to make it yourself. So, but it's also, I think they're telling everybody you can't sit on the stairs. Everybody's scooting in. In fact, if you're sitting on the stairs, if you guys could just scoot in real quickly and help to make room, that'd be helpful. Fire codes, pesky fire codes. So back in 2014, they started in trillions here. There was $1.3 trillion were spent online. And that number went up radically within the next 5 years or 4 years, that we had between 2014 and 2018, there was a $1.7 trillion rise in sales online. When you're talking about that much money, that is why the malls that we mentioned earlier are having a hard time surviving, because there's $1.7 trillion that were used to be spent at the malls or out in the mom and pop shops that used to be spent there is no longer going there. It's going to the online businesses. So this is why it becomes more and more critical for us to be thinking about, if we want to get where the money is. There's the classic saying: if you want to get if you want the glory of the money, you got to get before the spout where the money comes out. And this is the spout where the money comes out. So, like I said, I want to kind of race through these to make sure that we are getting to the good stuff, the juicy stuff. And so the new world is this online thing, and I wanted to just point out one thing: that just simply because we would go online and build something doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be amazing. You know, that old saying about if you build it, they will come. It was at the Field of Dreams, and it's just not true. If you build it, I got to tell you what you got to do. You got to work it. Amazon has been working their tails off in the last few years. When in 2016 they decided they wanted to grow the business, they had 300 and some odd thousand, almost 350,000 employees at the time. They wanted to grow their business to where they were reaching more, doing more, getting more of the market share. In a 2-year period, they nearly doubled their workforce. So if you look at what you would have to do to be able to get online and to be able to build a funnel like this, it doesn't mean that life's going to be quick and easy. It means that you've got to come up with a strategy and a plan and a workflow of how to build a business that's going to be able to make this kind of an impact, which means that you got to put some more work into it. It's not as simple as if you build it, they will come. You got to work it. My slides seem to be lagging just a hair here, and I apologize for that. So the next thing we're going to talk about, I'm going to spend a little bit more time right here, because this is where it starts to get a bit interesting. Because that other stuff, it's interesting, and it answers the question why. But now let's talk about the strategy that I've been talking about, is building this social media strategy, okay? And some of what the social media strategy is about is, there you go, it's finally happening. So it's about making a move with social. Social media, we are living in a social media age, and this has changed the world radically. We have no longer people that are from Minneapolis, San Diego. Though that is true, we now become globalized in the way that we think now. It's changed the way we think about the world, which is pretty impressive because I like to think that people in the Middle East are real people. I like to think that people that are coming from wherever on the planet, that they're real people. We can put faces to them, we can put lives to them, and I do like that. But also this social media age, it's radically powerful. This is a powerful tool that we are being given now as we start to transition to this new model. Gatekeepers have disappeared, and we can start becoming the gatekeepers ourselves. Let me just answer the question on why this becomes such a powerful tool, okay? First off, when you start talking about building a social media marketing plan, you can get radically specific. If you want to target specifically men or specifically women, it doesn't matter. You can target exactly the gender you want to, or the lack of gender thereof. You can do whatever you want with your marketing. Furthermore, you can be able to, it's people groups. Is there a specific race or a specific people group that you want to reach? You are not limited to that. You can narrow it down and find the exact person you want to sell your work to because it would resonate with them. You can talk about the exact hobbies that a person is in. I know that we're all ceramic artists here, right? But there are a lot of knitters out there that are looking for knitting bowls. I don't understand them. I don't want to make them, but there are knitters that like them. So you can make your stuff radically precise and be able to get exact audience that's interested in a specific thing. I made a mug. I'm thinking about this one thing that I like, that I dream of doing, which is powered parachuting. Love the idea. So I made a mug with the powered parachute on the front of it. And if I ever end up going down that road, I'm going to do a giveaway with that because it's going to start to target a specific group of people that I could sell my mugs to. So anyhow, the point is that you can get super specific on hobbies, you can get specific on the age, you can get specific on a specific color. So if you want to market the color blue, you can market blue if you want to. And people that love the color blue, they're saying like, oh, look, there's a blue mug. I'm going to buy it. You can specifically go after people in an exact zip code. Even though we have a global economy, if you're working with Facebook, you can be able to make it so that you are marketing specifically to your neighborhood, to your zip code, so that you can do a pop-up at your house and people will find it on Facebook because you can market to their zip code. Facebook knows where you live. So, and then if you just want to just go after zombies are available too. So it's super specific in what you can do with your marketing now. It's also really important is that you can also find freedom in the way that your marketing is. It used to be that when you were doing sales, you had to be stuck to a specific location. You were at an event. Your pottery, your work was at a gallery. It was in a store. That was how it was bought. But now, with us being able to be online and a global citizen, the world is our oyster. We can sell to anywhere on the planet. And if we were to do a show of hands, we could talk about the different places we have shipped our pots to. I've sent pots to Germany. I've sent pots to all over, well, not all over the planet, but I've sent pots around the planet. It's amazing that we can be able to do that. And who knows, if Elon Musk gets his way, we're going to start selling up on Mars. I know that's coming. So the point is that we are no longer location dependent. We are location independent. We don't have to be in the place to be able to make the sales happen. Not only that, it can also, because of what we can do with social media, we can also be able to build a community around that. And when we talk about community, it's all about connections. It's all about making relationships. There's three things I want to talk about: access, community, and then the three rules of what it takes to be online, okay? So here we go. The first thing is the access thing. And this may seem like a no-brainer for you, but it gives access for your target audience to reach you. You are no longer the mystery person behind the veil. It's amazing how, like, the Hollywood elites, Hollywood actors, that's the right word I want to say, not the elites, but the Hollywood actors, that's what I wanted to say, that we have access to them now. Like, I found out that Jennifer Garner, she's a great actress, great actor. And I got access into her life in a way that I thought I would never see. She was I think it was a Girl Scout mom. She was out selling Girl Scout cookies at a Safeway. And people come and say, hey, aren't you? Yeah, I am. Buy my daughter's cookies. That's what I'm here for. So it gives access to people that it gives access for your people, your audience, to be able to get to know you. Plus, it also gives access to your audience, and then also helps give you access to the field. Isn't it amazing that when you go online, when Periscope was so big and popular 2 years, you guys remember Periscope? It was 2 years ago, remember that? Anyhow, when Periscope was so popular, it was amazing how we just suddenly had friends around the planet. I loved it. I have friends in Australia. I have friends in London and friends now I've got a friend in Spain. Now I'm not going out to dinner with them, but I am going out to Instagram with them, so we have this new access to people that to our field. It's like NCECA all over again, a virtual NCECA. It's amazing. Like here, it's so great walking up and just, if someone's got the tag and you're like out on the street, it's like a special reason to say hi to them. Give them a little smile, a nod, and maybe a wink, but that's kind of weird. So, but if you start winking at people and they wink back, you know that's because they were here today, right? So start winking. But also it starts to build community, which is really interesting because now you can start to have relationship, not just access, but you start to have relationship with these with people online that you never spent time with them, never been able to meet before. And also this is really significant when there's that second point there under community, which is learn the needs. Entrepreneurially speaking, if you want to sell to somebody, you want to know what their needs are and what their wants are. When you figure out what somebody wants, then you can market to that specific want, and they're way more likely to buy from you. And so this is really important to be able to know the community things. You start to find out what they want, and plus you start to create that sense of belonging. Belonging is such a big deal. I wish I had 45 extra minutes just to talk about branding, because branding is about belonging. But there's a great podcast that I listened to called it's with Donald Miller. It's called Story Brand. Sorry about that. Story Brand. And they just had on his podcast, I think it was last week, this concept about branding and how people were brought into a room and they were given a shock and they didn't like it and it raised their blood pressure and they were able to measure this person, how their response was. Then they brought in a random stranger and they said, we're going to shock this person. And they enjoyed it. Then they brought in their friend or one of their children. And because they now knew this person, when the shock was about to come, this person that was originally in the person that's being tested, his or her emotions and heart rate started to go up because it was somebody that they loved. It was their person. And it was as if it was themselves. When you start to get a branding that has to do about belonging, when somebody feels like it belongs to them, that's when the heart rate starts to rise. That's when they start feeling like they belong to that person. That's why we can see in this, and I'm not going to get political, but that's why we go in the political world and you see my guy or my gal, and we hear someone else attacking them because it's my guy or then we get passionately angry about the other person doing that. It's all branding. But it's that sense of belonging. And that's what we can start to cultivate with our social media is start to create a sense of belonging with that. Now, there's 3 rules that are really important to follow when you're talking about being online. And these are really important. You don't want to be boring. You don't want to be stupid. And you don't want to be a jerk. I want to give you an example of what a jerk is. And I am always tempted to be the jerk, because I can get mad at people. I posted a picture of my cup. This was, and if you follow me on Instagram, I'm PD Blais. But on Instagram, my gig is I want to support and promote the ceramic community. And so I post mostly other people's work and then a little bit of mine, but mostly other people's work. But I put this up there. I was pretty excited about that cup. I thought the handle was really fun. And so I was doing, a little trick there, like trying to get engagement. I was asking, do you remember who the first person was? And Kim Merton was the person that taught me. If you want to follow someone that's amazing, that's a great person. And so people were starting to respond. And the first guy's Tony. You see what he says there if you want to. But the interesting one is the one down at the bottom. Interiors Kate. What an ugly mug. What? That's jerky. I've got a significant sense of power on my Instagram feed. I can block someone. I can yell at the person. And I had 100,000 followers that I could call to turn on Interiors Kate. Unfortunately, I had interviewed Tom Kemp, who is an amazing potter and an amazing person. And he said that he has people always talking. Are you guys familiar with Tom Kemp? He's the dude that takes a pot, takes a brush, slaps it on there, moves it around, and people get on there and say, oh, my 5-year-old could do that. Yeah, okay. So I asked him about that in my interview with him, and he told me the thing to do is just engage them. Instead of going after them and dogging them out and yelling at them, instead just engage them and see if you can maybe turn the relationship around. So I decided to do that. With Tom's help, I decided, okay, well, what is it you don't like about it, Kate? And I called her. I'm calling her out, but in a very nice. I don't want to be the jerk, because I could have been. So I was expecting that Tom's advice would be able to create a new relationship, but her was, no, didn't work. Well, at least I wasn't the jerk, right? Look, the world is full of jerks. Let them be jerks. You be good, okay? Those are the 3 rules. The other thing is that why this is such a great thing is there is a great organic approach that you can do to grow your business or grow your influence, okay? So one thing I do want to talk about is this idea about being able to grow your business or grow your followers, your reach. Now, one thing I want to warn you about is grabbing the business approach or sticking with keeping it personal. If you go with the business approach, you can get more analytics, but there is a challenge there. Facebook a few years ago came on with businesses and said, look, we'll give you this platform for free. You can market to our people, yada, yada, yada. And then they decided to put a throttle on it. And it went from a 16% organic reach down to a 2% organic reach. So I have a problem, but not a horrible problem with this, because it's their platform. I don't own it. If I owned Facebook, I would not be here today. But if I owned Facebook, they worked their tails off to build a business that attracted billions of people. I get it. I have not attracted billions of people, but I get what they're doing. So it's just be conscientious that if you're going to go with the business thing right now, it's still free on for all the platforms, but you may have a challenge to deal with on there. So they will put throttles on what you do, and they already are putting throttles in general on all of our accounts, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. We can grow and we can do things. And so the way that we do it, the way that we work this system is all of social media is about being social. And so if you can do these types of things where you're asking questions, if you ask questions or you're looking at replies or you go and reply in other people's posts or you're commenting there or you're asking for comments, these kind of things will start to get around those analytics, or I should say those throttles that the various platforms have put onto it. Now there's also another thing you can do is you can do exchanges with people. And I'm going to show you an example of how you do a giveaway. I have a cup, and I want to give this cup away to one of you today. And you guys can have this cup, and I'm going to tell you how you're going to get this. I started a new Instagram account called Union63. It's Union_63. And you can follow me there. And if you just DM me, and at the end, I will do a pick, and one of you can come down and get this cup. So no one outside of this room is going to get a cup, is going to get this cup. It's going to be one of you. So if you go on there and just go on the DM, you can follow. It's union_63. It's in my profile. You can click on it there also. But just follow it, and then DM me saying you got to follow it. Then you got to DM me, and you got to write this. Had it. Not with an O, with an A. HAWDY. Just do that, and then I'll pick it, okay? Now, this is how you get followers. Is you can put a piece up. Well, first off, you can become a speaker at NCCA. No, you can post the picture, something like this, and then you could ask people to follow, and then you can give it away. It's a great way to get followers. Now, I do want to warn you, my gig it's not about the followers. It's about building community relationships and also to be able to get a sale out of somebody. The deal is that there's two types of analytics. There's the vanity metrics. Vanity metrics is like, oh, look, I've got 1,000 followers, or oh, look, I've got 100 followers, or look, I've got 130,000 followers, I got 200, 500. Those are vanity things. If you can't transfer that from followers into sales, that's what the real goal is, because we're doing it as a business and as a marketing plan, okay? So let's keep running along here. So you want to get some organic growth and some engagement going on there. Now I want to talk about the knowing what's up with the various platforms and what people are doing. Now, look, this is really important about knowing what people like. Why do people go onto social media, okay? And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why people are on social media. So if you are talking about Facebook, they're coming to check in. They're looking at Facebook just to check in and see what's going on with their friends and their family. If they're going to LinkedIn, they're checking in for opportunities. They want to see what kind of business things are out there. So LinkedIn is all about business. If you're looking at Twitter, it's about checking what's going on in the news. It's amazing how Twitter has become a news outlet and a pain but nonetheless, people are checking the news there. If you go to Pinterest, it's about checking it out. They're looking for inspiration. They're looking for how to decorate the room. They're looking for beautiful sunsets and great clothing combinations. If you're on Instagram, you're checking out. I can't tell you how many times I've gone on Instagram to post a picture, and good night, if 20 minutes later, I have not posted a picture. I have checked out. Just want. So checking out, people are checking out on that thing. And if you're on Snapchat, it's check me out. That's what that thing's all about. And if you're onto YouTube, it's checking all the boxes. You can do all sorts of stuff with YouTube. So the reason why people are on social media, it's really good to have this in the back of your mind as to why people are using these various platforms, because it lets you know how you're going to engage them. The next thing to know, if our slides will scoot forward a little bit here, it'll just jump in a second. But the next thing to know is then what's the actual platform that as far as they behave. And this is an important thing to know when you start talking about how long does your content last. And this will be this surprised me the first time that I saw this, about how each one of these platforms has a very specific, predictable approach or timeline for how long a post will last, okay? If you're looking at Twitter, you got a 19-minute window of where the vast majority of people will see that tweet. About 19 minutes, or is that 18 minutes, sorry about it. So it's very close. It's a very fast system. If you're looking at Facebook, you got about a 5-hour window of where it scrolls out of the way and you're just kind of too far down the post. Instagram, 21 hours. The LinkedIn is 24 hours. And then this is fascinating, 20 plus days. 20 plus days for being involved with YouTube. It's a great way to get involved. Now, Pinterest, look at that, 4 months, 4+ months. One of the greatest sources of traffic back to the Potter's Cast website is through Pinterest. Pinterest is amazing. So understanding how the platforms and how the content works on each one of those is really important, because it lets you say, well, which one am I going to be focusing my attention on then? You can see which one would be the one to do. Now let's talk about how to perform on each one of these things, okay? So this is what you want to be thinking about for your approach to any one of those platforms. Here's the first one. So if you're looking at Twitter, you want to be thinking news. Don't be trying to inspire the world on Twitter. They're not going to get inspired there, but you want to be able to give them something that's an important date or important information, then use this. And a great thing to do is use a scheduler. Something like Hootsuite does that. And then there's other ones you can pay for, but Hootsuite's is free, and then you can get the paid thing. And schedule your use. Get a time where you say, I'm going to do this in the evening or in the morning, or I'm going to find a specific time where I'm going to do this, and that's the only time you do it. So think with that, you want to be thinking news. The next one that you want to, if you're looking at Facebook, you want to think me and you. It's about relationships, because most of Facebook, it's all about relationships with our friends and family, and you want to be thinking about being engaged there. You want to engage with them. You also want to be thinking pictures and videos. Videos are always going to be able to grab people's attention more quickly, and so think me and you on this one. With Instagram, you want to think eye candy. Can I demonstrate for you just right now? I want to show you how much time you have to get someone's attention with Instagram. Are you ready? That's the time you got. If you can't capture someone in that moment, then you've lost that engagement. So you want to think eye candy, something that makes people stop and go, oh, look at that. That happens to me all the time. That's why I don't even like looking at my phone when it says how long you've been on specific apps. I just ignore that. That thing's depressing. And time. Thank you. And then also, so you want to time your posts. I mean, I do stupid stuff like I don't do this as much, but I used to do stupid. I used to do stupid stuff like set a timer where every 2 hours I would post, because I figured out that was like the premium time where I could grow my followers the fastest, and so I was always timing my posts. But there's a great thing you can do is just do a Google search. What's the best time to post on Instagram? And it will tell you that it's going to be Wednesday morning at about 9 a.m., depending upon where you live on the planet. So Google that and figure out when's the best time where I have the most opportunities to be able to engage with people. Then the next time is going to be in the evening time when people are laying in bed. They don't go to sleep anymore. They swipe. So time your posts, but think eye candy. The next thing you want to think about is LinkedIn. And this is really important, if you're like looking for a job, man, keep this thing. You're thinking work. You want to keep that thing up to date. If you're a professor, keep it up to date. You're looking for career angles. You want to keep this thing fresh. And then if you're going to, there we go. If you want to think about YouTube, YouTube is all about two things. E&E, education and entertainment. If you're doing education and entertainment, you're going to be catching people's attention. You want to be concise with it. You ever see how like when they chop it up, like you're watching a YouTube video and they like chop it up like they're talking, and then like a second disappears and their head's like over here, all of a sudden they're talking over here, and then it disappears and it's over here again. It's a little trick of the brain, because the brain thinks that, oh, it's a new camera angle. No, it's not. It's just a cut frame. But what it does, it makes it seem like it's more interesting. And so that's how you can be concise. It's like cut it up a little bit, and people will start to think that, oh, there's more action going on. So, but be concise and title it well. Those are. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong button. I hope it doesn't freak the thing out. We'll just hope. There it goes. We're good. And then Pinterest, you want to think about inspiration. It's all about inspiring people. And there's this great thing called you can double dip with Pinterest. I do this with my Instagram account. It's called IFTT. It's if this, then that. And it's a great app that if you post on Instagram, it'll automatically repost it onto your Pinterest. But also, you can change. If you're into Pinterest, you know that if you click on it, it will take you to the website that picture came from. But did you know that you can manipulate that? You can change the destination on that. So if you have up there a post of a plate, a mug, a vase, or a vase that you have posted on there, and you've sold it, but you still want it to be left up there, you don't want to send them to a sold out page. Instead, change that then once it sells to send them to your sales page of where other things like that are. So think destination. And then the thing that ties them all together, social media companies have put their heads together and said, how can we make all of these things more searchable and easy to navigate through, and that's where they came up with the hashtags. And hashtags are all about being findable. And uniqueness matters. If you get a hashtag that is like got 10 million uses, you'll disappear quickly. But it's okay. I mean, you can use them, but just know that they disappear quickly. But also don't get too cluttery. And don't put a hashtag in the middle of a post like you're saying, I just bought my hashtag mug from the hashtag store. Because people know, once they see hashtag, they mean, oh, click. I just saw my hashtag, oh, gone. So you don't want to do that. You want to put it after the fact. Put it in the comment afterwards, but don't clutter up your post with all these hashtags, because that's a signal it's a gateway for someone else to leave. Thank you. That's so kind of you. So the performance. So this is the way you want to think about each one of these platforms. So knowing how they're used. The next thing that you want to think about is your website. Because your website is the best social media site that there is. If you think about your website as an actual social media platform, which is what it is, this is the thing where you're going to be able to get the most traction and you have to be able to make the most impact. Because let me give you a couple of reasons why this is the case. First off and foremost is that this is your property. When we talk about all the social media platforms that are out there, it's their house and it's their rules, so they determine. When I say that they have a throttle on the way that your work is being seen by other people, we can't get frustrated with it because it's not my house. I did not build Instagram. I did not build Pinterest. I didn't build any of these things, so I can't argue with them. They're going to do what they want to do, and they can change the rent, they can change the rules, they can change all of these things. There's no such thing as some kind of governmental program that's going to come in and say, no, you have to show all posts now. They don't have those types. It's not post control. They have the control. We don't have the control. So it's their house, their rules. But on your website, it's your house, your rules. You can do what you want with it. It's your place. So it's really important that you don't forget I got a cup going away today. It's really good to remind people that there's a cup giveaway today. So it's your rule. And the next thing, pardon me? Oh, it was Union_63. The other thing that's important is to know is that your website can be radically powerful. It's a very powerful platform. And I want to show you a statistic that we already went through once, is how long does content last? When we look at the length of time that the content lasts on your own website, 2 years. If you want to start saying, where will I get most bang for my buck? That is the place you'll get the most bang for your buck. So don't miss out on that being such a powerful thing for you to use. The next thing that's really important, if it'll go, there we go, is to think about what is the purpose of having a website. Because it's not just having the website. I'm going to give you the 4 C's. The 4 C's of having a website. The first one is communicate. Second one is to connect. And the third one is to collect. That is what everything and then commerce. That's what all social media platforms are doing this to us. And this is what you want to do to your customers. In a good way, though. It's not like you're trying to rip them off, but you want to be able to communicate in ways that is a great, powerful way to connect with them in a way that the social media platform other social media platforms are not going to be able to put restrictions on you. And then also you collect those emails and then you can sell to them. So that's the social media strategy, okay? So really important to see it. Now I want to talk to you about building the funnel. And I'm going to have to scream through this because I talked a little bit too slowly. But let's talk now about what building the funnels is like. So now that we know why we want to go online, now we know how the various social media networks work or platforms work. Now we want to say, how can we put them to work for us so that we can be able to grow our businesses and start making sales that are better, And we're talking about, in the marketing world, we talk about conversions. Conversions is a very simple term that conversion is a very simple term that's talking about specifically moving a person into a specific action, okay? What you've done is that with conversion is basically this formula. You ask, you give somebody something that you want them to do or respond to, and then if they do it, that's called a conversion. It's so simple. Notice I did that with the colors too. Yellow, reds, orange. Colorblind people, it's really cool looking. So in a conversion, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring people to actually do a specific behavior, okay? And so the best thing that we call in the marketing world is we call it a funnel. It's really, the funnel though is kind of inadequate because you feel like everybody that goes in is going to come out with the sale. It's not the best. The real term should be a filter. But we still call it a funnel in the marketing world, so I'm going to stick with funnel, okay? But what we're going to have, there's two sides of this that are going. There's your responsibility, and then there's someone else's responsibility. But this is what your responsibility is that you're supposed to convey. You're supposed to tell them what you're all about, tell them what your product is all about, and let the world know that you have something for them. Okay? And that's all of your social media should be trying to get some of this going on. The next thing is you're trying to convert, not only trying to get them to know about your stuff, but then to become a follower or a buyer of some sort. Okay? So we're trying to convert them. We've asked them to do something more than just like your stuff. You're trying to get them to do something with it. And then you want to continue. So it's convey, convert, continue. That's the process we're trying to do on all of our social media. And we're trying to make this thing happen. Now, this is what's going on with your customer, your potential customer, is that they're attracted by something that you've conveyed. And then what they do, if it's good enough, then they're going to award you with a sale or a like or a follow or something like that, or a giving you of an email address. But they're going to award you with some kind of response. That's where the conversion is taking place, is in that little step between the attract and the award. And then what they're doing is they're awaiting. They're wanting to see what you're going to do next, especially if what you did the first time was amazing. They're just waiting for the next thing to happen. And that could be with purchasing something from you, or whether they're following you on Instagram or on Pinterest or wherever. Now, I want to show you something that's really important to understand, is that these first two steps, to convey and convert, this is, if it'll move forward for us, it's trying. You're out there finding those people. And this part of it is a lot of work. The second part is that you're trying to keep them in place. I always say that and this is maintenance. I always say as a business guy, when I talk about my customers as a business guy, the best customer to find is the one you already have. They're the cheapest ones to have because you haven't spent a lot of energy. Once you get them in the door, the lifetime of return on that person can be amazing. So that's the work. You're going to work hard to get them there, but once you get them there, you can start to do some maintenance. But you have to have this process going on, because even in the maintenance mode, people can bail on you at any time. So the next thing you want to do is, once you understand that you've got to be able to convey really well, and you've got to convince them to behave and to do a specific thing, the next thing you want to do is you want to start building the funnels. It's doing it. And this is how you start building those funnels, how you're starting to convey. Is first off, you got to know who you're talking to. This is really important. Is when you know if you can define who the people are. Remember we talked about how you can be hyper specific? You do it with hashtags. You find those people with hashtags. There's a couple of other things that you can do, but I'm talking about what you can do just with your iPhone or your Android, whatever you're doing, whatever phone you happen to have, that you can use the hashtags and you start finding people. I recently started posting stuff with my mugs, and when I post stuff with my mugs, I used to have like a certain group that I would always post, and I would put a hashtag pottery, hashtag ceramic, hashtag mug, and that would be fun. I get a lot of potters liking what I'm making. I decided I would start doing some other things like hashtag coffee shop, hashtag coffee mug, hashtag I want this. And I started getting more people that were completely outside of the pottery world. Look, I'm grateful for pottery collectors, but it's way better if I get a coffee shop saying, I'd like to order 15 of those mugs from you. That'd be way better, right? So I start finding that audience that I want to specifically talk to. By the way, I'm doing a giveaway. The next thing is you want to know is what is it that you're specifically asking people to do. If it's just to like, you can ask people, hey, if you like this, like this, and you can ask people to do that. You can do it subtly or overtly. You can ask people to comment on there. That's where you start asking questions, or what do you think? What's your favorite color? Or as an interior decorator, what's your favorite way to decorate this room? So questions like that, starting to get people to comment on it. The app mentions. You get people to say, you could ask them, say, who's a friend that would appreciate this? And people start mentioning on them. But the point is, you have a specific goal in every post of saying, what do I want to see happen in this? And one of these things are the things you're trying to get. You're trying to get a new follower. That's where the giveaways are. Saying, hey, I'd like to have you as a follower. Give them something that you're conveying to them as a reason to want to follow you back, okay? And then you gotta pay attention to this bio. Good night. I can't believe how many potters I spend time with, or I go look at their Instagram feed, and who doesn't really give any credence or value to this part of their social media. And I'm going to focus on Instagram specific, because this is where I like to spend a lot of my time. But obviously you want to let people know who you are. This is where a lot of people stop. They stop right there. I've got other gigs that I have going on with being the Potter's Cast and running the pot that I'm trying to give to the pottery community. So I have other things that I'm doing. So I can also communicate a few other things that I do. And if they want to find my pots, those are kind of the ways to do it. But then this is where the gold is right here with the website. Now, Instagram doesn't allow you to actually leave the platform, but it gives an access for people to go to your website and now start looking around. And that's where you start being able to get some traction. And all social media platforms have this basic layout going on there, where you can be able to direct people back to a specific place. There we go. And I want to show you what this looks like specifically. So all social media, this is the way you want to look at it. You've got your website should be the hub. And when you look at all other social media things, you want them to do is to leave their platform and get to yours. That's the goal. Get them to your platform so that you can then get them onto your email list. Because just like followers on Instagram, I have followers on Instagram, your email list is your followership. Now, this is the funnel that we use to be able to build a social media or a social media platform or funnel. Is that when you understand how the system works, and you can get them off of those things of that's why you started Instagram, is so that you can get followers who will then follow you, but then follow you to your place, and then get them onto your real followership, which is your email list, and you can make sales to those people. That's a social media marketing funnel. And if you can do that, you can be able to build an amazing business. That's a basic framework and the basic layout of how you build this. Now I'm trying to click to the next thing, which is to there. Now what I want to do is open up to some questions. We have like 8 minutes left of questions. And so I've got Chiro's gonna walk around the mic. Now, I know that we didn't cover absolutely everything in here for this, but I do want you to know that this framework has earned people, I think just pull it that way. There you go. Raise your hand if you have a question, and Chiro, right up here, Chiro. And Chiro will come running around to you. By the way, Chiro is spelled C-I-R-O. If you want to follow him on Instagram, there's no one else in the world with that name, so you can be able to follow him. He's a good guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi. Say your name, please, too.
My name is Taylor. I'm from Chicago.
Hi, Tara.
Would you recommend separating personal and business accounts?
If you want to put that kind of work into it, yeah, you can totally do that. You can just pass over this way real quick. You can totally do that. It just depends. If you want, just know that if you're going into the business accounts, there's a great threat that they're going to slow you way down in the future to where you'll have to actually pay for any significant reach. And that may not be a bad thing. Just because they ask you to pay for it, that's not bad. That's been the way marketing and advertising has gone for centuries, or decades anyhow. So I don't have a problem with that. So, but if you're going to start to have a separate one, like say on Instagram, I prefer that you would not go to the business one because they don't give you enough analytics to make it really worth your while. But you can make it a separate one, but just don't make it a business one. Is my personal opinion. But that's just an opinion. Yeah.
I'm Jeff from Georgia.
Hi, Jeff.
Do you have
Georgia.
Do you have any thoughts on coordinating Etsy and your own personal website, or which is
I do.
how to make it work?
I do. Don't do Etsy. That's my thought. But I have to say this. On my program, I have people on the shows that completely ignore what I say, and they have amazing businesses. In fact, the guy that was released today, episode 510, he's a face mug potter. You look at his on my Instagram. I just posted them on Instagram, but they're face mugs. They're hilarious. They're a lot of fun. I would never make them, but that guy is making a living off of it, and he does it all through Etsy. He's made in the episodes today, he mentions how many it was, and I can't remember what. I read it off of Etsy. So you can look. Everybody can do it, but the problem is when you're using Etsy is that you're building Etsy's business and not your own. I did have one person on the show that did talk about a workaround about using a landing page first. Send them to a landing page that once they give you your email address, then you can send them over to Etsy and use it as a checkout stand, and that's cool too. Yeah. Chiro, who has? Oh, there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I have a question about Facebook. So they had a analytics that if you got somebody to comment with 5 words or more, you could get more organic movement that way. Do you know what their current?
Let me answer. Is Valerie in here? Valerie. Okay. Well, listen. We talked about this in our Potter's Business Mastermind group, and it depends. Some say that it's a myth, others say that it's not, but let me just say that we don't know exactly. The more you get activity on anything, the more it's going to go up in ranking, because everything has to do with they want to be entertaining to their customers, which are all they're like my 33,000 followers. They're not my followers. They're Instagram's followers. They're not mine. So they want to be as entertaining to them. And so if anything I post that's like, say, an ugly mug, and it doesn't go well, then it's just not going to go up in the ranking. It's not going to be given to them. So, yeah. So there's some credence to that, but I don't know how much. We don't know for sure, because then they don't give us all the details of how they do so. Yeah.
Have you seen this work for potters who want to remain studio-centric and don't want to do shipping?
I'm sorry, I heard someone. Oh, there we go. What? Could you say it one more time?
Have you seen these strategies work for potters who want to remain studio-centric and do not want to do shipping? Specifically, we have an open-door policy for our studio. People come, they take their pots and leave a check in the basket, and that's the way we like to do it. But we can't do general advertising, but we do have multiple sales per year. So we don't want to do shipping. It's just too time-consuming.
Yeah, well, then I would look at this way, is that I would start thinking about zip code specific type advertising. But yes, you can totally do that. So specifically with Facebook, I'm not sure when or if Instagram has rolled this out yet, but you can hand the mic back. But you can specifically go after people that live in your area, and you could say like a 20-mile radius or a 5 zip code radius, and you can be able to reach people that way. And Facebook might be the better way to go with you on that, because I'm not sure if Instagram has done that yet, if they've rolled that option out yet. So I hope that answers it. So yeah, studio specific, yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
I have one here. Hi, I'm Ryan from Kentucky. I wanted to know, so you have a big focus on getting people to your website, but I'm struggling with Instagram to figure out there's only one link that you could put in there. I know some people are starting to use like link trees where you have multiple things that you can link off to. So they go to one link tree and then there's multiple places to send them.
Yeah, that's true, yes.
So what is your preference there? I mean, I'm struggling whether you send them to the Etsy so that they can buy, or you send them to the website.
Okay, let me tell you, I'll just answer that, and then because we only have like a minute left. So let's get one more person lined up. But the best thing to think is ease. don't make it hard for anyone to make a purchase. That's why Amazon went to the one click. If they could do the one click, in fact, they sued somebody, said they weren't allowed to use that word one click, where buying one click and it's bought. So the easier it is, if you have to send people chasing, like doing a maze, they're not into that. Our customers are not mice looking at running through the thing. So don't do that. So make it as simple and easy as possible. Yes.
Hey, you were talking
last
about.
one.
All right. You were talking about advertising to like different demographics other than potters, and you were kind of talking about like coffee shops. Are there any other kind of directions that you would recommend?
Yeah. When I was in San Francisco speaking, we had we had a board with Forrest Middleton. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but we had also an interior decorator, and we talked about focusing specifically on interior decorators. The guy that does the face mugs, the reason I found him was because he advertised to the keto community, Keto, which is a dieting community. I don't know why dieters like funny face mugs. So, hey, you guys, thank you so much. If you have more questions, I'll be outside here.